Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Force Strategy Gaming. Today we're going to be taking a look at a Zerg strategy. This is going to be a mirror matchup strategy. I'm going to try to do some mirror matchups for the next few games that I cast. And let's go ahead and take a look at the players here. The Zerg player that we are looking at is Dark Force, and our Zerg opponent is Delphi. So I'm going to go right into Dark Force Vision, and I'm going to start to try to mention the players' names in these videos more often. You know, I thought it was pretty well known by people that I am not playing these games. I don't take credit. I've never tried to take credit for these games themselves. The players themselves are the ones doing the strategies. They get the full credit. I am just the one who's showing you these strategies and trying to explain it to you so that you can better understand them. I thought that was clear, but some people apparently had a hard time with that. So I just wanted to make that a little more obvious by actually stating it in the beginning of this video. So yes, we are looking at a Zerg strategy. Dark Force is the player that we're going to be concentrating on. The thing that we're going to be looking at today is going for some early game roaches. We're going to be curbing back on the drone production, going for heavy roaches early game and pushing out. The idea behind this is that if you push out with heavy roaches early in the game against your Zerg opponent who gets drones, who goes for some sort of a heavy drone, or even just at any point in the game going for using larva on a few extra drones, and instead of you yourself doing that, going for those early roaches, you can do a lot of damage and or win the game. The idea is that, you know, as Zerg, we are limited by the larva. So if our Zerg opponent uses 4 larvae on drones to try to work on his economy, and we use those 4 larvae on roaches, and we push out with that, well, that puts us at a really great advantage and allows us to basically try to do as much damage as possible, try to hurt his economy, try to take out his units. That's the general idea behind that. Now, another thing about this matchup is in this game, you know, those 2 big openings you see in the mirror matchup, the Zerg versus Zerg matchup, is either Speedling, Baneling, or Roach. So opening up with Zerglings, trying to scout, trying to do as much damage as possible, and then following that up immediately with a heavy Roach push is exactly what we're going to be looking at. And you can see how effective it is if, again, your opponent tries to drone up even just a little bit, even using those few extra larvae on drones instead of offensive units, and you push out with them, it's going to put you in a really good spot. As far as timing is concerned, we looked at a 14 pool, followed it up with a 14 extractor, 16 queen, and then an 18 supply, came down with that Roach Warren. So here we are coming out with those initial Zerglings. That's exactly what you want to do. Try to deny as much scouting as possible. It would have been great if those Zerglings came out before he had spotted the Roach Warren, but he knows we have a Roach Warren. It's not the biggest deal in the world. It's a pretty standard opener, so he could more or less expect that. So he knows to be prepared for roaches. Now, going to be moving out with the Zerglings again, trying to do as much damage as possible. You always want to make sure that you're engaging with the larger numbers. If not, chances are you're going to lose equal amounts of forces. So, you know, even just having 1 extra Zergling in any engagement, you can see right here we have to run away. Don't engage 2-on-2 if you have Zerglings with lower health. Now that we have 4, we're pretty safe to push out against it. Bring in the Zerglings with a higher health forward, and then trying to engage and get a surround on his 2 Zerglings. Now, over here back at our base, obviously try to deny Overlord scouting. This was actually a really big blunder by Delphi. You can see Dark Force took full advantage of that, killing that Overlord, and that's really going to hurt him. If you ever catch an Overlord over your base when you have your queen out, do everything you can to take it out. It's really going to set back your Zerg opponent. Another great thing about this matchup, you don't really have to worry about anti-air early in the game, except for in the base against the queen itself. So you can use your Overlord early in the game to kind of spot what your opponent is doing, and that's something I suggest. You know, if you spot the attack paths, you're going to know what they're doing, what they're moving out with, and when they're moving out. This kind of forward scouting, this advantage in knowledge can be really beneficial to you. So back here at the base, you can see the Roach Warren has come up. Also, that metabolic boost just finished. We started researching that metabolic boost. At the same time, you're going to want to start researching that metabolic boost at the same time you drop your Roach Warren, around between 18 and 20 supply. And then, you know, as soon as that Roach Warren is up, pumping out a bunch of roaches, and I'm going to go to the income tab here really quick, and taking a look at the income tab right there, you can see the pink Zerg player Delphi does have 19 supply, 19 harvesters, while we're only sitting on 15. So like I said, instead of using that larva on those drones, getting roaches instead and pushing out with that, that's going to put our opponent at quite the disadvantage. We're going to be moving out here, and you're going to see that they're going to lack equal forces because Delphi did go for drones, and going for roaches yourself, again, is going to put you in a really good spot. Pushing forward, roaches do a great job against queens. In fact, roaches early game in this matchup do a great job against anything your Zerg opponent could have. You obviously want to try to stay away from the spine crawler, but here you can see forced to pull the drones. He doesn't have as many units as you will when you go for that roach heavy attack. and that's pretty much the end of the game right there. It's kind of crazy, you know, how intricate and how sensitive this matchup is. You really have to kind of be right on the ball. If you make one slip up in the Zerg versus Zerg matchup, or if you do one thing to give your opponent an advantage in this matchup, it can lose you the game very early on. So we can see here that the problem with Delphi, aside from losing that early Overlord, which he could have avoided by just making sure he didn't go over the hatchery while he knew the queen was out, the other problem was the fact that he went for those extra drones. You can see it. We saw at the 6-minute mark that he had about 4 or 5 more drones than Dark Force did, and because of that, when Dark Force did manage to push out, he just had a larger offensive force than he did, and he could manage to take him out early in the game. Now, you may wonder why Delphi left. You know, he hasn't lost his base, but the problem is that he's lost so many harvesters. Going back to the income tab, he's really low. All of these drones are going to die unless he pulls them away, but even if he does, he's taken such a hit so far, really at a disadvantage. So going to go over that build order, even though it wasn't anything too complex. This was a very quick game, but I just really wanted to show you the advantage of a heavy early push if your opponent does drone up. We got a spawning pool at 14 supply, also followed that up with an extractor, 14 supply. At 16, once the pool was up, getting that queen out, 18 supply, getting that Roach Warren, and then following that up with that metabolic boost. Then, you know, about 5 to 6 minutes in the game, massing up on those roaches instead of using those larvae on extra drones, pushing out with about 7 roaches. It's going to be a very strong push if your opponent doesn't manage to get equal force to deal with what you have. So once again, guys, this has been Force from Force Strategy Gaming. If you guys like our videos and you like what's going on here, please do go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Keep watching and keep owning, guys. You would see it when it was pushing out at this point, or if you had this Selnaga tower and it went in this direction, you would see it when it was about here. That is ample time to use all the larvae you have to make a bunch of Zerglings, to get some spine crawlers, and you're all set. Grab those Selnaga tower to get forward scouting, maybe have a Zergling sitting here and here for even more advanced warning. If a push comes out, make those Zerglings, and you're all set. But until that point, you can just rely on queens.